A pleasant day to everyone. We are the Amor Propio, the Group 4 from BSIS1AB, and we will be presenting the title Filipino Citizen and His Rights. The coverage of this topic is we will be having an overview of the Articles 3, 4, and 5 of the Philippine Constitution of the 1987. First is we have the concept of citizenship, who are the Filipino citizens. Second is the loss and acquisition of Filipino citizenship, as well as the classification of rights, the constitutional rights of the Filipino citizens, the suffrage in the Philippines, and finally is the conclusion. So this academic report provides an overview of the rights of Filipino citizens in the Philippine law. So significantly, the 1987 Philippine Constitution is a critical document that outlines the fundamental principles, laws, and regulations that govern the country. It embodies the values and aspirations of the Filipino people and provides a legal framework that aims to promote social justice, human rights, and democracy. In this academic report, we will examine the provisions of Articles 3, 4, and 5, which outlines the fundamental rights of every Filipino citizen. So, by examining the legal framework that safeguards the rights and privileges of Filipino citizens, this report aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of the legal landscape of citizenship, constitutional rights, and suffrage in the Philippines. So here is a brief overview of the Articles 3, 4, and 5 of 1987 Philippine Constitution. Article 3 refers to the Bill of Rights. So this talks about safeguarding the fundamental rights and freedoms of Filipino citizens, including the right to life, liberty, and property, freedom of speech and religion, as well as the right to due process and equal protection under the law. It also prohibits torture, inhumane treatment, and arbitrary arrest and detention. Article 4 refers to the citizenship. So this article establishes the criteria for citizenship in the Philippines, outlining the ways one can acquire or lose citizenship. It allows for dual citizenship in certain cases and prohibits discrimination based on race, sex, or religion. The Article 5 refers to the suffrage. It focuses on setting the qualifications and procedures for voting in elections. It grants voting rights to citizens aged 18 and above who have resided in the country for at least 1 year prior to the election. So the article prohibits any form of coercion, intimidation, or vote buying and emphasizes the establishment of an independent commission to oversee fair elections. Moving on to the concept of citizenship, this will be presented by Harvey Vinoya.
Who are the Filipino citizen? A citizen is a legal national of the country at the same time. At the time of census, while an alien is a non-national of the country. It includes all of the privileges and rights handed to people, including the right to reside, participate in election, employment, and significantly more. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, citizenship is defined as the legal nationality of a person. Now, what is nationality versus citizenship? Nationality is where you came from. For example, is Harvey was born in the Philippines and in the Philippines. Then my nationality is a Filipino. A citizenship is a legal relationship between a person and a country. If you are a citizen of a certain country, you have the right to live, right to vote, and right to work. For example, is a membership in a club. If you are applying for a membership in a club, you will gain the right the right to work in that particular club, etc. And the next is modes in acquiring citizenship. There are two recognized forms in acquiring citizenship. The first is by birth. It is divided into two ways. The jus soli, or the Latin term law of the soil. For example, is the child is born in the Philippines, so his citizenship is a Filipino. And the jus ay, and the jus sanguinis is the Latin term for law of blood. If the child if the child's parents are a Filipino citizen, then the child citizenship is a Filipino. And the second mode of acquiring citizenship is by naturalization. Naturalization will be elaborated later. For now, let's move on into kinds of Filipino citizens. The first kinds of the Filipino citizens is those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of adoption of this constitution. Halimbawa na lang po ay ang mga taong Filipino citizen na bago pa man maaprubahan ang constitution na ito noong 1987. Sila pa rin ay tinuturing na Filipino citizen. At ang pangalawa, those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. They are referred to as natural born citizens because they became a Filipino citizen without having performed any act to perfect their Filipino citizenship. For example, yung nanay mo or tatay mo isang Filipino citizen, ibig sabihin ikaw ay Filipino citizen din. Ang unang senaryo diyan ay halimbawa, ang nanay ni Maria ay isang Pilipina, ngunit ang kanyang tatay ay isang dayuhan. Siya ba ay matuturing na isang natural born citizen? Ang sagot ay kung depende kung ano ang pinapatupad na batas sa bansa. Halimbawa, siya ay pinanganak sa Pilipinas. Sa Pilipinas ay pinapatupad ang jus sanguinis o ang law of blood. Kung ano ang nanay at tatay mo, kung anong citizenship ng nanay at tatay mo, yun ang susundan. Ang senaryo 2 naman, si Elsa ay pinanganak sa Russia, pero ang kanyang magulang ay Filipino citizen. Siya ba ay isang natural born citizen? Oo, kahit na si Elsa ay pinanganak sa ibang bansa, pero ang kanyang mga magulang ay Filipino citizen. Siya ay isa pa ring natural born citizen. Sa kaso naman ni Elsa ay siya ay isa qualified para sa dual citizenship. Ang dual citizenship ay tatalakayin mamaya. Ang pangatlo naman ay those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. Ang halimbawa ay si Maria ay pinanganak noong 1972. Ang kanyang nanay ay Pilipina at ngunit ang kanyang tatay ay isang dayuhan. Si Maria naman ay mananatiling walang citizenship hanggang siya ay umabot sa edad na 18 taong gulang. Ayon sa Ayon sa 1987 Philippine Constitution, a Filipina does not lose her citizenship by marriage to an alien or a foreigner. Kung isang Pinay ay nagpakasal sa isang dayuhan, hindi daw mawawala ang citizenship niya. Ang Filipino citizenship niya kung mag-asawa man siya ng dayuhan. At ang pangapat ay those who are naturalized in accordance with law o naturalization. There are ways to become naturalized citizen. The first is administrative naturalization, a judicial act of adopting a foreigner and clothing him with privileges of a native-born citizen. Bago niya magawa ito ay dapat niyang mai-renounce o maisoli ang kanyang citizenship sa dati niyang kinabibilangan bago siya maging naturalized Filipino. At ang requirements para ma-apply mo ang administrative naturalization ay dapat 18 taong gulang, ipinanganak at nabuhay sa Pilipinas, dapat may good moral character at may-ari ng bahay o lupa sa Pilipinas, at marunong magsalita at magsulat ng kahit anong dialekto sa Pilipinas. Ang pangalawa naman ay judicial naturalization. Kung hindi ka ah, kung hindi ka applicable sa una, sa administrative naturalization, dito ka naman pupunta sa judicial naturalization. Ang requirements naman dito ay dapat 21 years old nung ikaw ay mag-a-apply ng Filipino citizen, hindi umalis sa loob ng Pilipinas ng 10 taon, may good moral and right conduct, at may-ari rin ng bahay o lupa sa Pilipinas. At higit sa lahat, marunong rin magsalita at magsulat ng English o Spanish o kahit na anong dialekto sa Pilipinas. At ang pangatlo naman ay ang direct act of the Congress. Aliens who have made outstanding contributions to the country, o ang mga dayuhan na may malaking nagawa para sa Pilipinas. At ang pang-apat naman ay ang Section 5, dual allegiance of citizens is inimical to the national interest and shall be dealt with by the law. Ito yung dual citizenship ay pwede kang magkaroon ng dalawang citizenship ng sabay, kagaya ng kanina kay Maria na pinanganak sa Russia pero ang nanay at tatay niya ay isang Filipino. Pwede kang magkaroon ng dual citizenship, kumbaga pwede kang bumoto ng sabay sa dalawang country. Pwede kang magkaroon ng rights sa dalawang country ng sabay. At ang dual allegiance naman ay ang taong sumusuporta o loyal sa dalawa o higit pang mga bansa. Ang pinapayagan lamang ay ang dual citizenship. Ayun lang po ang part ko.
Hello everyone, I'm Andrea Laganas. I'm reporting about the loss and acquisition of Filipino citizenship. Article 4, Section 2, Natural born citizen. Natural born Filipino citizens are those who are citizens of the Philippines from birth without having to perform any act to acquire or perfect their Philippine citizenship. Sila o tayong mga pinanganak sa Pilipinas, na ang mga magulang ay Pilipino. Tayo yung tinuturing ng mga natural born Filipino citizen. Hindi na natin kailangan i-acquire yung Filipino citizenship dahil tinuturing na nga tayo isang citizen sa Pilipinas. Pero maaaring mawala ang ating pagiging Filipino citizen. Ayon sa Article 4, Section 3, Philippine citizenship may be lost or reacquired in the manner provided by the law. Nahati ito sa dalawa, yung voluntary at saka yung involuntary. Sa una, yung voluntary or yung expatriation. The voluntary departure from one native country to another country to live their permanent or an extended period of time. Nahati ito sa tatlo. Yung naturalization in foreign country, renunciation of citizenship, yung subscribing to an oath of allegiance to support the constitution of foreign country upon attaining 21 years old or more. Doon naman sa voluntary, meron itong yung sa cancellation of certificate of naturalization, a deserter of the Philippine Armed Forces. Ipapaliwanag ko to sa mga susunod na slide. Next. According to Commonwealth Act No. 63, Section 1, how citizenship may be lost. A Filipino citizen may be lost his citizenship in any following way or event. Ito yung sabi ko nakaraang slide na voluntary at saka involuntary. Doon tayo sa voluntary. Number 1 is by naturalization of foreign country. Kapag ang isang tao ay gustong manirahan sa ibang bansa ng mahabang panahon or pwedeng maging permanent, pwede silang mag-naturalization upang ma-acquire nila yung citizenship ng bansang nilang gustong tirahan. Pero kasabay nun, yung pagkawala ng Filipino citizenship nila. Pangalawa is yung by express renunciation of citizenship. Dahil nga sa kagustuhan mong maging isang citizenship dun sa bansang napili mo, voluntary mo tatalikuran yung pagiging Pilipino mo. So makatuwid, parang yayakapin mo yung citizenship ng ibang bansa. Pero kapalit noon, yung pagkawala ng pagiging Pilipino mo. Pangatlo, by subscribing to an oath of allegiance to support the constitution of the law of the foreign country upon attaining 21 years old or more. Pangapat is by rendering service to or accepting commission in armed force of foreign country. Yung dalawang yon is sila yung nagbigay ng oath of allegiance para suportahan yung ibang bansa. At saka yung mga nagtanggap ng commission. Yun yung, dahil sa mga yon na nawala yung pagiging Philippine citizenship nila. Next slide. Provided that rendering of service to all or the acceptance of such commission in the armed forces of the foreign country and taking of an oath allegiance incident thereto with the consent of the Republic of the Philippines shall not be divest a Filipino of his Philippine citizenship if either of the following circumstances is present. A Republic of the Philippines has defensive and or offensive acts of allegiance with said foreign country or next slide. B. The said foreign country maintain armed forces of the Philippine territory with the consent of the Republic of the Philippines. Provided that the Filipino citizens concerned at the time of the rendering said service or acceptance of said commission and taking the oath of allegiance incidents thereto states that he does the only connection with his service to said foreign country, and provided finally that any Filipino citizen who is rendering service to or the commission in the armed force of the foreign country under any of circumstances mentioned in paragraph A or B shall not be permitted to participate nor vote in any election of the Republic of the Philippines during period of his service to or commission in armed force of the said foreign country. Next. Upon his discharge from the service of the said foreign country, he shall be automatically entitled to full enjoyment of the service and political rights of the Filipino citizens. The provision of this section notwithstanding the acquisition of the citizenship by or natural born Filipino citizen from one of the Iberian and any friendly democratic Ibero-American country or from the United Kingdom shall not produce loss or forfeiture of his Philippine citizenship. If the law of that country granted the same privilege to the citizen and such been agreed upon by treaty between Philippine and foreign country from which citizenship is acquired. Next. Kung ang Filipino citizenship ay nawawala, pwede rin itong ma-reacquire by doing any of these three. By naturalization. Kung pwedeng ma-acquire ang foreign citizenship by naturalization, pwede mo rin ma-acquire ang Filipino citizenship by naturalization. Yung pangalawa, yung direct act by Congress. Kung ang isang foreigner ay may nagawang contribution para sa Pilipinas, tinuturing na rin silang Filipino citizenship. Yun ay by Congress na lang. Pangatlo, by repatriation of deserter of the army. Ito yung pag-recover ng mga ng original citizenship o yung Filipino citizenship mo. Ito yung nagbibigay ka ng oath of allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines upang ma-recover mo yung Filipino citizenship mo. Article 4, Section 4, citizen of the Philippines who marry alien shall retain their relationship unless by the act of omission they be deemed under the law to have renounced it. Ito yung mga Pilipino nagpakasal sa isang foreigner. I mean, kapag nagpakasal ka sa isang foreigner, isa ka pa rin tinatawag na Filipino citizen. Unless ikaw mismo yung tumalikod sa pagiging Pilipino mo, yung tinatawag na renounce your Filipino citizenship. Tinuturing ka pa rin isang Pilipino by this article. That's all po. Next reporter.
Good day, everyone. I am Wendy Bangis, and I am the reporter for the classification of rights. Here we have 6 classification of rights. The first is natural rights. Next slide po. Natural rights refer to human rights. They are given to all of us. These rights are also called inalienable rights that are not based on laws, beliefs of any culture, and will remain even without the government. Ito yung mga karapatan na tumutukoy sa mga karapatang pantao. Binibigay sila sa ating lahat. Yung right natin na matuto, right natin na mabuhay, right natin na magsalita. Hindi yun pwedeng alisin ng kahit sino man. Ayun yung sinasabi sa natural rights. Next is constitutional right. These rights are granted and protected by the Constitution and part of the fundamental law that cannot be changed or taken away. Some of the constitutional rights in the Philippines are freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to travel, and the right to information concerning the public. And if anyone who tries to prevent someone from exercising their constitutional right can file a lawsuit against that person. Third is statutory rights. Statutory rights, the legal rights of an individual, are granted by law. They are enforced for the protection of citizens, and for those who violate them are usually punished by the legal prosecution and fines. Statutory rights are also refers to the law, legislation, or legal right. Examples are Bill of Rights, Section 1. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. Section 2, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for any purpose shall be inviolable, and no search warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath of affirmation of the compliant and the witnesses he may produce, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Alam niyo ba dito sa amin, kahit na meron tayong batas na ganito, hindi pa rin siya nasusunod. Kasi dito sa lugar namin, merong ibang mga pulis na hindi sumusunod sa batas. Kasi pumapasok pa rin sila dun sa isang bahay kahit wala silang dalang warrant of arrest. Next is civil rights. Civil rights, the social freedom and equality of each person are guarantees of equal protection under the law regardless of our physical characteristics, race, or religion. This right is an important part of democracy, and this right entitles us to government services. Ito naman yung rights natin ng pagkakaroon ng pagkakapantay-pantay. Mayaman ka man or mahirap, ganun. Some kinds of civil rights, freedom against unwarranted searches of your property, freedom to have fair court trial, freedom nakita ko na siya gano'n. Merong pulis na pilit na pinapaamin yung isang suspect. Dito kasi sa lugar namin magulo gano'n. Meron akong nakita na sinasaktan talaga nila yung suspect para lang umamin. What if wala naman talaga siyang kinalaman, gano'n, 'di ba? Dapat hindi nila pinipilit. Kaya lang may mga pulis talagang gano'n. Next is economic rights. Economic rights, it is a legal right to economic freedom, a foundation for economic activity in a society. Rights that allow each individual to pursue the profession of their choice and find economic opportunities such as starting a businesses. Common examples of economic rights are right to education, right to business, right to equal treatment, right to live where you want. Next po is yung political rights, the last one. Political rights. These rights empower citizens to participate in the establishment or administration of government, and the right of an individual to take part in the political affairs of the state. Some of the political rights may be described as follows: right to vote, right to be elected, and right to permanent residence. And that's all for my report. And the next reporter is Miss Princess Subida.
Hello, I'm Subida Princess Angeli. I'm here to discuss the constitutional rights of Philippine citizens. Article 3 of Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights in the Philippines Constitutional guarantees several safeguards and rights of Philippine citizens. These rights are intended to protect individual liberty, advance social fairness, and guarantees that the use of government authority is kept with appropriate bounds. For the Section 1, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. These sections stipulated that no one can be deprived of their life, freedom, or possession without first complying with the correct legal process, and that everyone is treated equally in the eyes of the law. But unfortunately, sa Pilipinas walang ganon. Section 2, the right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable research and seizure of the whatever nature of any purpose shall be inviolable, and no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except once probable cause determined personally by the judge after examination under oath of affirmation of the complainant and the witness may proceed in the particularly described in the place to be searched and person of things to be seized. This implies that without legitimate search of warrant or warrant arrest, which may only given by the court after a second probable cause based on a sworn testimony, police enforcement cannot search or take person property. Pero nga, based nga sinabi ni Miss Dangis na marami talagang police na hindi sinusunod ito. For Section 3, there have two categories. First, the privacy of communication and correspondence shall be viable except once local order to the court when public safety or the order requires otherwise as prescribed by the law. Second, any of evidence obtained in the violation of this or the preceding section shall be inadmissible for any purpose and other proceeding. The confidentiality of communication and correspondence, which may only be violated by a court or order when required for a general welfare, it may be not permitted to utilize any evidence collected via such infraction in any judicial proceeding. For Section 4, no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, expressing, or the press of the right of the people peaceable to assemble the petition the government for redress or grievance. People are guaranteed freedom to express their ideas and opinions freely through a speech, writing, assembly. Additionally, it requires that they will be able to peacefully assemble and address their issue with the administration. But you should not take it for granted. You should know when you talk and think 100 times before you speak before it can be back at you. Next, Section 5. No, no law shall be made respecting an established or religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefore. The free exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without the discrimination or preference shall forever be allowed. No religious test shall be required for the exercise of civil or political rights. These sections declare that no laws promoting or limiting the specific religion may be passed by the government. It assures that no religious restriction are placed on the people's civil or political rights and protection of freedom to practice any religion without discrimination. Section 6, the liberty of adopting and changing the same within the limit prescribed by the law shall not be impaired except once the lawful order of the court. Neither should the right to travel be impaired except in the interest of national security, public safety, or public health, as may be provided by law. It protects the freedom to choose and change one's residence as long as it follows the limits set by the law. The right to travel and can be restricted in cases related to nation security, public safety, or public health determined by the law. Next, for Section 7, the right of people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized, access official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as the government's research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizens subject to limitation as may provided by law. State that individuals have the right to access information about public matters. These include official records, documents, papers related to government action, and research data used for policy development with same restriction as specific by law. Section 8, the right of people, including those employed in the public and private sector, to form unions, associations, or societies for purpose not contrary to law shall not be abridged. The right of individuals, whether they work in the public or private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies as long as their purpose are lawful and not against the law. Next. Section 9, private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation. The private property cannot be seized by the government or for public use without providing fair compensation to the owner. Section 10, no law impairing the obligation of contract shall be passed. This statement from the Bill of Rights guarantees the government cannot pass any laws that would interfere with the existing contract. Next. Section 11. Section 11 pa lang ako. Okay. Section 11, free access to the courts and jurisdiction Section 11, free access to the courts and quasi-judicial bodies and adequate legal assistance shall not be denied to any person by reason of property. This section ensures that the individuals, regardless of their financial situation, have the right to freely access the courts and quasi-judicial bodies and receive sufficient legal assistance. Next. For Section 12, there have four categories. 1. Any person under investigation for the commission of an offense shall have the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and have competent and independent counsel probably for favorably of his own choice. If the person cannot afford the service of counsel, he might be provided with one. This right cannot be waived except in writing the presence of counsel. Anyone can file a case and seek legal relief if they have the free access to the courts and quasi-judicial bodies. Second category, no torture, force, violence, threat, intimidation, or any other means which by violated the free will shall be used against him. Secret detention, places, solitary, incommunicado, or other similar forms of detention are prohibited. When it comes legal proceeding, everyone has the right to adequate legal assistance, which means having access to lawyer or legal representation. But, nasa Pilipinas nga tayo, walang ganito. Lahat sinasaktan, kahit hindi pa siya siguradong nagkasala. For third, any confession or vision obtained of violation of this or Section 17, therefore, shall be inadmissible in evidence against him. Nobody should be denied free access to the courts or adequate legal assistance to the property. For the last, the law shall provide for penal and civil transaction for violation of this section as well as compensation to add rehabilitation of victims or of torture or similar practices and their families. The law must establish penalties for violation of these rights and provide compensation and rehabilitation of victims of torture or similar practices as well as their families. Next. Section 13. All persons except those charged with offense punishable by reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong shall before conviction be available by sufficient securities or be released on a recognizes of may be provided by law. The right to bail shall not be impaired even when the privilege of the writ and habeas corpus is expired. Excessive bail shall not be required. This defined as the penalty handed down to inmates who been convicted of capital crimes. This right to bail remains even if the privilege of writ and habeas corpus refers on law, starting that an individual cannot be imprisoned or held in custody inside a prison cell unless he or she has first been brought before a court law. Next. For section 14, they had two categories again. First, no person shall be held to answer the criminal offense without a due process of law. Second, in all criminal prosecution, the accused shall be perceived innocent until the contrary is proven, and they shall enjoy the right to be heard by himself and counsel, to be informed of the nature of a cause of accusation against him, to have speedy, impartial, and public trial, to meet the witnesses face to face, and have to compulsory process to secure the attendance of the witness and the production of evidence in his behalf. However, after arraignment, trial may proceed notwithstanding the absence of the accused, provided that he has been duly notified and his failure to appear unjustified. This section of Bill of Rights protects the rights of individual accused of the crime. It states that no one can be held accountable for criminal offenses without following due legal processes. The accused are considered innocent until proven guilty and they have right to fair and speedy trial. They have the right to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusation, to be heard by themselves and the counsel of the comfort witness, and to produce evidence in the their defense. However, the trial may proceed if the accused fails to appear after duly notified. For the remaining section will be discussed by Ms. Magsa.
Moving on to section 15, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended except in cases of invasion or rebellion when the public safety requires it. So a person's right to appear before a judge or court is referred to as habeas corpus. So individuals are protected from unlawful detention or imprisonment by this privilege. And this right cannot be taken away unless there are specific exceptions. The conditions where it tends to be suspended are during an attack or insubordination. Hence, the suspension must be necessary for public safety. Section 16. All persons shall have the right to a speedy disposition of their cases before all judicial, quasi-judicial, or administrative bodies. This simply states that everyone is entitled to an expeditious conclusion to their lawsuit. All governmental or administrative organizations must follow this. Hence, it should be resolved immediately and effectively. Section 17. No person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. It is against the law to compel anyone to testify against them. The right against self incrimination is actually a legal principle. It is spelled out in numerous constitutions and legal systems worldwide. So, this right is meant to stop a trial from using statements or confessions made under duress as evidence. It depends on the possibility that everybody has the option to stay quiet and not add to their indictment. Section 18. No person shall be detained solely by reason of his political beliefs and aspirations. Second, no involuntary servitude in any form shall exist except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So the section 18 emphasizes a person cannot be detained solely based on having political opinions, whereas slavery and forced labor are illegal unless used to punish a crime after a fair trial. Section 19. First, as we have the excessive fine shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. Neither shall the death penalty be imposed unless for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes, the Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua. So this states that excessive fines and punishments that are cruel, inhuman, or degrading are against the law. The death penalty is not allowed except again for very serious crimes and if the Congress decides to allow it. Second, the employment of physical, psychological, or degrading punishment against any prisoner or detainee or the use of substandard or inadequate penal facilities under subhuman conditions shall be dealt with by law. In addition to that, the second statement explains that the law likewise restricts physical, mental, or debasing discipline against the prisoners. So the law expects the punitive offices to fulfill specific guidelines and not subject individuals to subhuman circumstances. Hence, the law will take against anyone who breaks these rules. Moving on to section 20, 21, and 22. First, no person shall be imprisoned for debt or non-payment of a poll tax. So people can't be put in jail for owing money. This includes the debts and taxes. Specifically, it includes a tax called a poll tax. So no one can be imprisoned for failing to pay this tax. Section 21. No person shall be twice put in jeopardy of punishment for the same offense. So if an act is punished by law and an ordinance, conviction, or acquittal under either shall constitute a bar to another prosecution for the same act. No double jeopardy, two times sentences allowed for the same offense. So if a law and an ordinance both punish an act, being convicted under either one stops any future prosecution for that act. Section 22. No ex post facto law or bill of attainder shall be enacted. So when we say the law of ex post facto, it is a law that punishes behavior that was legal at the time it was done. Bill of acquisition, it is a regulation that proclaims an individual at fault for wrongdoing without a preliminary. So this means that it is against the law to pass a law that makes someone guilty without a trial or punishes an act backward. The Philippines, a model democracy, enshrines the preservation of its citizens' constitutional rights and liberties, which are upheld by the state. So any infringement on this fundamental rights is rightfully contested and rectified through legal channels. Moving on to the suffrage in the Philippines. The right of suffrage. The human right to vote is embodied in these three instruments. So our country, the Philippines, is governed by these three documents. First is the Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25 of International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the Article 5, Section 1 to 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which is the suffrage. Beginning with the Article 21, everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. Second, everyone has the right to equal access to public service in his country. And third is the will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of the government. So this excerpt emphasizes the democratic principles of participation and equality in government. It states that every individual has the right to engage in their country's governance directly or through elected representatives. It also highlights equal access to public services and emphasizes that the authority of the government stems from the will of the people expressed through genuine, periodic, and universal elections conducted through secret or free voting procedures. So these principles ensure that the exercise of rights for Filipino citizens and uphold democratic processes. For Article 25, A, to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through freely chosen representatives. B, to vote and to be elected at genuine periodical elections, which shall be universal and equal suffrage and shall be held by secret ballot, guaranteeing the free expression of the will of the electors, and to have access on general terms of equality to public service in his country. So, overall, this states that it guarantees every citizen the right and opportunity to participate in public affairs, both directly or the chosen representatives. So, it ensures the right to vote and be elected in genuine periodic elections that are universally and equally suffrage, conducted by secret ballot to protect the free expression of the voters' will. Additionally, it grants again the citizens equal access to public service. Finally, we will be talking about the Article 5, Section 1 to 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution suffrage. First is in the Section 1, it states that all Filipino citizens who are at least 18 years old have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the specific voting location for at least 6 months prior to the election are eligible to vote. It also emphasizes that no additional requirements such as literacy or property ownership can be imposed on exercising the right to vote, ensuring equal access to suffrage for all citizens. Second section, it mandates that the Congress is responsible for the process, including provisions for absentee voting by qualified Filipinos residing abroad. Additionally, the Congress is tasked with creating a procedure that enables disabled and illiterate individuals to vote independently. In the absence naman of specific procedures, these individuals are allowed to vote according to existing laws, with the Commission on Elections issuing rules to protect the secrecy of their ballots. Lastly, we have the conclusion. This academic report has provided an overview of the rights of Filipino citizens in Philippine laws, specifically the Articles 3, 4, and 5 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution.
Conclusion. In summary, this academic report provides an overview of the rights and privileges of Filipino citizens as outlined in the Philippine Constitution. The Bill of Rights guarantee the fundamental freedoms, while Article Number 4 defines citizenship and its acquisition and loss. Article Number 5 establishes the qualification and procedures for voting. Dual citizenship is allowed in certain cases, and naturalization of citizenship to administrative, judicial, or legislative means. Understanding this concept is crucial for determining Filipino citizenship and the associated legal rights and privileges. Crucially, the Philippine institution ensures the protection of fundamental rights for Filipino citizens through the Bill of Rights. These rights encompass various aspects such as due process of law, protection against unreasonable research and seizures, privacy of communication, freedom of speech and expression, religious freedom, freedom of movement, access to public information, formation of association, protection of private property, non-impairment of contracts, and access of court and legal assistance, regardless of financial status. This constitutional guarantee aims to preserve individual liberties, promote social equity, and maintain appropriate boundaries and government authority.
In addition, these rights are vital for upholding democracy, protecting citizens' welfare, and preventing government abuse. Suffrage is a fundamental human right enshrined in international and national laws, emphasizing universal participation and ballot secrecy. Overall, to end with, upholding citizenship and constitutional rights ensures citizens have a voice in government and safeguards the democratic process, playing a pivotal role in the legal landscape and protecting the rights of Filipino citizens. And that's it for the presentation of Group 4. Thank you for listening. Mabuhay! We are back again to take you to one of the historical places in the heart of Manila, Philippines, the Manila Cathedral. Its official name is Manila Metropolitan Cathedral Basilica and is the seat of the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Manila. It is a historic Catholic church that dates back to its initial construction in 1571, situated at Plaza de Roma in Intramuros. In description and design, this beautiful Catholic symbol in Intramuros combines Spanish Baroque and Neo-Romanesque architecture. It has intricate stone carvings, stained glass windows, and bell towers that attract visitors to explore its rich history and experience its spiritual greatness. Inside, the high ceiling, chandeliers, and detailed carvings create a heavenly atmosphere. So, this remarkable building represents centuries of faith and cultural importance, leaving a lasting impact on all who visit. For the historical significance, throughout its existence, this iconic structure has stood as a silent witness to the unfolding history of the Philippines, persevering through numerous trials and tribulations. Having weathered earthquakes, fires, and wars, the Manila Cathedral stands as a resilient testament to the enduring spirit of the Filipino people. Its survival is a reflection of the strength and determination of both the church and the nation it represents. Over the years, the cathedral has played host to numerous important religious and state ceremonies, further solidifying its place in Philippine history. It has been a venue for significant events such as the papal visits of Pope Paul VI and Pope Francis. So these visits have not only reaffirmed the importance of the Catholic faith, but have also strengthened the connection between the Church and the Filipino people. So as a cherished symbol of the country's Catholic faith and national identity, the Manila Cathedral holds a special place in the hearts of Filipinos. It stands as a physical representation of the nation's enduring faith, cultural heritage, and the resilience of its people. So, with each passing year, it continues to remind everyone of the rich history and traditions that have shaped the Philippines into what it is today. In addition, here are a few trivia and highlights we've observed represented by the photos I captured as we roamed around the Manila Cathedral. Firstly, beginning from the left side, a statue of Saint Peter can be seen, which is engraved in it states that Elpidio Valencia and his wife, Mrs. Rosie Osmeña Valencia, humbly dedicates the statue of Saint Peter, or Supreme Pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. And aside from Saint Peter, a beautiful large holy statue of the Virgin Mary is in front of a votive candle station that can be seen located at the left side inside the cathedral itself. Moreover, one of our favorite highlights in Manila Cathedral is there is a small gallery located inside and near the entrance. It showcases incredible and original architectural design plates, as well as some artifacts emphasizing its long history. Speaking of history, it also has a designed wall with written information of the historical timeline of Manila Cathedral. Moving on to the right side, here is an image inside the cathedral. Essentially, on April 9 of 2014, Manila Cathedral reopened. The reconstruction fixed structural hazards and refurbished both its exterior and interior. Lastly, the two images that you can see here represent important information about the one side of the chapel in the Manila Cathedral dedicated to Saint Joseph, which was donated by the family of deceased Doña Dominga de los Reyes de Padilla. Overall, I realized that historical places are cherished for their ability to preserve and transmit our shared heritage, educate and inspire, boost tourism and local economies, as well as protect architectural masterpieces and promote a sense of identity and pride. I believe they are repositories of human history and serve as reminders of the rich tapestry of cultures and civilizations that have shaped our world. To end with, once again, this is Group 4 Amor Propio from BSIS1AB. I, Trisha Marie Dumagsa, your representative speaker and leader, together with Bangis, Laganas, Subido, Sunga, and Vinaya, offers this historical information to all of you. Thank you for listening.